While my first thought is not that it's aliens, I promise you that is one of my thoughts.
They believed it was nothing more than another stray traveler from the void, a silent fragment of stone adrift between the stars, heading innocently toward our sun. But then, the James Webb Space Telescope locked eyes on it, and everything changed. What it revealed was impossible. A coma, glowing with an eerie crimson light, perfectly symmetrical, flawless in a way nature never designs. No water, no icy vapor, no familiar comet's tail. Instead, it breathed out carbon dioxide with an almost mechanical rhythm, as if engineered with purpose. And now, within the hushed corners of astronomy, whispers are surfacing, words scientists never imagined daring to speak. What if this isn't a comet at all? The last time something like this rattled the cosmos, it was Oumuamua, and even that one sent shockwaves through the halls of science. But 3I's ATLAS. This intruder doesn't just stretch the rules, it shatters them, rewriting the very laws we thought governed interstellar visitors. With every tick of the clock, it draws closer. And what James Webb has now confirmed about 3I's ATLAS is more than a curiosity. It's terrifying, a revelation that not even NASA was ready to face. From the moment it entered our system, 3I's ATLAS marked itself as different. A vast sphere of crimson gas bloomed into view, nearly the size of the Earth-Moon distance itself, expanding outward in flawless symmetry. This wasn't the pale shimmer of ice we know from comets. No, it pulsed with a deep, ominous red glow, like a warning beacon in the dark. And what fueled this colossal halo? Not water, not the frozen vapor that has always betrayed a comet's identity. It was carbon dioxide, pure CO2, nothing else. At this distance from the sun, water should be the first to boil away, creating the iconic tails and glittering jets that light up even the simplest backyard telescope. But 3I's ATLAS refused to obey that rule. It followed no script we've ever known. There were no jets, no eruptions, no chaotic bursts of gas. Just a steady, precise exhale of carbon dioxide, as if some hidden mechanism had flipped a switch and was releasing it with cold, deliberate control. That's when astronomers shifted focus to the source, the nucleus itself, buried deep within the coma. Hubble's first readings suggested something small, insignificant, a fragment no larger than 300 to 500 meters across. But the closer eyes of Webb and SPHERX told another story. Near-infrared scans revealed light scattering that simply didn't match such a tiny body. The math broke apart. Again and again, the models returned the same haunting conclusion. The nucleus may stretch over 46 kilometers wide, a behemoth larger than 90% of every comet humanity has ever cataloged. A mass like that should have been unmistakable from the very beginning. A body this massive should have betrayed itself long ago. Its sheer gravity could have bent starlight, distorting the heavens behind it like glass under strain. Yet 3I's ATLAS drifted unseen until now. Some scientists tried to reason it out. Maybe the strange reflectivity wasn't coming from the nucleus at all, but from loose particles inside the coma. That idea collapsed the moment they studied the reflectivity curve. It was too perfect, too polished. Nature scatters light in chaos, jagged, uneven, unpredictable. But this? It reflected like a crafted surface, smooth, symmetrical, uniform, as if some unseen intelligence had ground it into a flawless mirror. Every comet has a voice, and that voice is almost always water. As they near the sun, frozen ice transforms into vapor, singing its story in bright tails and radiant jets. But 3I's ATLAS has spoken only in whispers, and they are chilling ones. Spectral readings confirm water is hidden beneath its crust, lying dormant, waiting. Yet almost none escapes. Only 4.5 kilograms of water per second seep into space, barely a tenth of what physics demands. Why? Some argue the relentless CO2 venting acts like a thermal shield, cooling the surface and trapping the water inside. Others claim the reservoirs are buried too deep, unreachable by the sun's warmth. But none of these theories explain the unnerving consistency. No cracks, no sudden flares, no fluctuations. Just the same measured rhythm of carbon dioxide, precise as a metronome. It doesn't behave like geology, it behaves like machinery. And that leaves us with a chilling question. What if the silence of water is no accident at all? What if the strangeness of 3I's ATLAS isn't random at all? What if it's intentional? When Oumuamua shot through our skies in 2017, the world couldn't look away. Headlines screamed across every outlet, theories raged, and even respected Harvard scientists dared to suggest it might be alien technology. But this time, silence. NASA's SphereX spotted Atlas in August 2025. It recorded the vast red coma, the eerie absence of water, the mirror-like reflectivity, the kind of data that should shake the foundations of astronomy. And yet, no breaking news, no press conferences, not even a passing tweet. Instead, the findings were tucked away, almost hidden, in a quiet blog update weeks later. As if history's most unsettling discovery was just another routine entry in the logbook. Some excuse it as protocol. Others claim it's about avoiding hysteria or wild speculation. But whispers are growing louder within the scientific community. This feels familiar. This feels controlled. And if NASA's silence is deliberate, perhaps it's because they know something the public does not. Because 3I/ATLAS isn't just strange in its chemistry or its glow. It moves in ways that defy celestial mechanics. Typical comets are tossed about by gravity, their orbits bent and broken by cosmic chance. But Atlas charts a different path, impossibly clean, impossibly deliberate. Its trajectory seems calculated, brushing just close enough to planets, skimming through streams of solar radiation, as though it were sampling, gathering, observing. Yet it never drifts too far, never too near, never unstable. Its path told the story. It wasn't drifting, it was steering. Astronomers were stunned to see the evidence. 3I/ATLAS appeared to perform microcorrections mid-flight, tiny angular shifts so subtle they were almost invisible. But natural bodies don't do that. Rocks don't change course. These maneuvers required energy, calculation, intent. This wasn't a random traveler through our solar system. It was navigating it. And when those trajectories were cross-checked against centuries of recorded anomalies, an unsettling possibility emerged. Some researchers suspect this very object, or one hauntingly similar, may have passed near Earth before, long ago. Its presence disguised in ancient sky charts as unexplained stars or strange eclipses. If true, that would mean ATLAS isn't just visiting, it knows the way back. Meanwhile, James Webb's instruments probe deeper, dissecting the chemistry of the Crimson Coma. What it uncovered is now whispered about behind closed doors. The object emits a spectral fingerprint, rich in complex organic molecules: methanol, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde. These compounds are not unusual in space, but here they weren't scattered randomly. Instead, they appeared in a pattern, layered, structured, repeating in a rhythm that eerily mirrors the folding patterns of proteins, the very architecture of life as we know it. To be clear, no scientist is claiming ATLAS is alive, but the chemical order doesn't suggest chaos. It suggests design. It suggests purpose. One theory, once dismissed as fringe but now whispered in serious circles, suggests something chilling. The molecular rhythm surrounding 3I/ATLAS may not simply exist. It may be designed, not as a message written in code, but as a payload, biological in nature, meant to be inhaled by a planetary biosphere. In other words, a delivery system. If Earth's atmosphere were to interact with it under the right conditions, humanity might not have decades to respond. We might have months. Then came the signal. On an unremarkable morning in late July, the SETI Institute detected a transmission, not from a distant star, not from the galactic void, but from right here, between Mars and Jupiter. It was short, precise, narrow band. When converted into sound, it resembled a pulsing synthetic tone, uncanny in its simplicity, like a beacon, the kind used in early radar or submarine sonar, ticking across the void. Normally, SETI would dismiss such a sound as interference from Earth, but this time, they couldn't. The signal wasn't fixed, it moved. It shifted in perfect sync with 3I/ATLAS itself. For 17 minutes, the mysterious tone tracked the comet's path, echoing across multiple observatories before vanishing into silence. When researchers tried to triangulate the source, their systems collapsed. Logs were wiped, antennas drifted off alignment, backups corrupted. The event vanished from official record in an instant. The public explanation? A weather glitch. But those who were there tell another story. Engineers were forced to sign NDAs. Several resigned in frustration, and one who swore he could still hear the pulsing signal in his dreams, was recently hospitalized. The James Webb Telescope peers into the universe through infrared, tracing heat signatures across billions of years of cosmic history. So, when its gaze locked on the nucleus of 3I/ATLAS, scientists expected the familiar warmth of a cold, rocky core, faint but present, just like every comet before it. Instead, they were met with the impossible, a flat line, not weak, not fluctuating, just zero. This cannot happen. Every object in space, no matter how frozen or distant, bleeds some infrared glow. But 3I/ATLAS radiated nothing. It was as though it absorbed reality itself, as though it existed in a separate thermal dimension. Alarmed, researchers scrambled to cross-check. ESA's solar orbiter was brought in. Its readings matched Webb's exactly. The verdict was inescapable. The core of 3I/ATLAS was a void. No heat, no absorption, no reaction, even when lashed by solar wind. The only conclusions left were terrifying. Either the nucleus was forged from a material unknown to science, or it wasn't a nucleus at all. Some whispered it might be cloaked. Others suggested it was hollow, a projection, a mask. Perhaps what we are seeing is not the traveler itself, but a shell, a decoy concealing something hidden behind layers of frequency we cannot yet penetrate. And then came the discovery that froze even the most skeptical minds. When researchers enhanced Webb's imagery with Fourier transformation and multispectral filters, the gas cloud revealed the unthinkable. Within what should have been a random haze of particles was order, a repeating fractal pattern, not once, not twice. But in every single frame captured across 17 days, the same pattern appeared. This wasn't random noise, it wasn't decoration, it was structured, geometric, recursive, nested like a code unfolding itself in endless mirrors. The cloud was behaving like an algorithm written into the fabric of gas and light. One research team dared to compare the fractals against mathematical constants. What they found was unnerving. The alignments pointed directly to the golden ratio and the Fibonacci sequence. Patterns etched not only into nature's design, but also into the architecture of human thought itself. So what was this? A signature across the void? A test? A trap? Or a conversation meant only for minds advanced enough to see it? Whatever the purpose, one thing became clear. The message wasn't for our machines. It was meant for us. When data from 3I/ATLAS reached global bioinformatics labs, an even darker revelation surfaced. The molecular structures of its emitted particles, rich in carbon compounds, showed an uncanny overlap with human mitochondrial DNA, not in just any region, but precisely within sequences tied to cellular aging and neurodevelopment. That single connection gave birth to a radical, deeply unsettling theory. Perhaps 3I/ATLAS doesn't carry an infection or mutation. Perhaps it carries a signal, a resonant biological code, designed not to change us, but to wake us up, to trigger instructions already buried within our genes. What if humanity's evolution was never random? What if it was timed? And what if 3I/ATLAS is not a wanderer at all, but the cosmic clock that has always been waiting for its alarm to ring? If this theory is right, then what we're witnessing isn't first contact at all. It's reconnection, a switch flipped from light years away, one capable of altering us in ways we can barely comprehend. It could accelerate memory, cognition, even consciousness itself, or snuff them out entirely. And just as these ideas surfaced, a new anomaly shook observatories worldwide. They detected a delay, a gap between the light radiating from 3I/ATLAS and the gravitational tug it should have produced. At this scale, such a separation is impossible. Gravity is immediate, yet the data was undeniable. When the models were refined, the truth emerged. Another mass. An invisible companion locked precisely 312,000 kilometers behind Atlas. A gravitational ghost. It could not be seen in visible light, infrared, ultraviolet, or radio. But its influence was real. Solar particles shifted, comet tails bent. Background stars wavered in its presence. The hidden mass was the size of a small asteroid, yet silent. No emissions, no signals, just weight moving like a shadow. Theories multiplied. Was it a probe, a parasite, or was 3I/ATLAS itself nothing more than a mask, a decoy shielding the true traveler trailing in its wake? And if that's the case, then everything we've observed, the red coma, the fractal gas, the eerie signals, may only be theater. The real visitor could still be cloaked behind the curtain. 2 weeks ago, a document leaked from a major aerospace contractor added fuel to the fire. It claimed that the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, UNSA, had quietly received a joint classified transmission from NASA, ESA, and even CNSA. Their message was simple: an anomalous object is confirmed. 3I/ATLAS no longer obeys celestial mechanics, and that alone should have triggered alarm bells. Instead, it triggered something stranger: multinational coordination. According to the leaked memo, agencies across the globe quietly escalated into joint planetary observation. Officially, the leak was denied, scrubbed, buried, but some evidence could not be erased. Satellite logs revealed a surge, an abrupt spike in encrypted communications linking every orbital telescope and deep space array. Within hours, those same systems underwent a synchronized firmware update. A process that normally drags on for months was executed worldwide in just 36 hours. Why the rush? Why the secrecy? Why upgrade every telescope on Earth at once? What were they preparing to track or conceal? As ESA and NASA scientists worked to model the object's steady CO2 emissions, they noticed a pattern hiding in the noise. The venting wasn't random, it pulsed. And when analyzed, the spacing aligned with something almost inconceivable: Planck time, the smallest measurable unit in all of physics, the quantum heartbeat of the universe itself. When those pulses were compared against Earth's global network of atomic clocks, a disturbing anomaly appeared. Instruments in Geneva, Tokyo, and Boulder began to slip, registering microsecond desynchronizations. It was as though 3ISATLAS carried a frequency that warped local space-time, subtle enough to deny, but constant enough to fracture the consensus of time itself. Then came the civilian reports, observatories recording skipped seconds, precision drones falling out of sync mid-flight, and worse, whispers from classified networks hinting that some military systems had entered time loops, clocks freezing, resetting, repeating. If 3ISATLAS can bend time from millions of kilometers away, what happens when it comes closer? That question now hangs over every observatory on Earth. While the Crimson Coma continued venting steady streams of carbon dioxide, the James Webb Telescope returned a result so contradictory it sent teams back to their equations in disbelief. The nucleus, the very heart of Atlas, was measured at nearly 40 Kelvin. That's brushing against absolute zero. But here's the paradox: a core that cold cannot be active. By every law of physics we know, it should be silent, frozen, inert, and yet the emissions persist. Thermal mapping made the puzzle even darker. The cold was not gradual, not fading outward in a natural gradient. Instead, it was a perfect sphere, a sharply bounded bubble of frost in the void. Something was regulating the temperature with precision. Whispers turned to theories. Could ATLAS conceal a cryogenic chamber? A vault designed to preserve something? If so, is it a vessel of life or of death? More astrobiologists are now voicing what was once unthinkable. ATLAS may be a delivery system, maintaining a frozen payload across deep space, designed to activate only upon nearing Earth. And if it's cryogenic, then it's meant to awaken. Then came evidence that tore the boundaries of reality wider still. Using high-speed photometric imaging, Chile's Very Large Telescope observed ATLAS as it passed in front of distant stars. This is a standard method for mapping an object's shape, but what they found was impossible. Even after Atlas moved on, faint echoes of light remained, lingering shadows and reflections rippling through the void, as if the object had carved an imprint into space-time itself. The echoes did not fade. Hours passed, then days. And still, faint phantoms of 3ISATLAS lingered in the night sky, drifting subtly as Earth rotated beneath them. At first, astrophysicists blamed gravitational lensing, but the mirages persisted even when viewed through different instruments, different filters, even on separate continents. It was as though the object was multiplying, duplicating itself across unseen dimensions. Or worse, that we weren't just watching it in space, but glimpsing fragments of it from other points in time. A Harvard quantum optics team now suspects these are temporal echoes, the side effects of an object unbound by linear time, something that doesn't simply move forward as we do, but exists in multiple moments at once, revealing only fragments of itself to us, like flashes from a broken mirror. And then came the revelations from outside mainstream astronomy. A rogue alliance of pathologists and astrophysicists scoured ancient archives, searching for patterns. What they found stunned even the skeptics. Across civilizations, Sumerian tablets, Mayan codices, the lore of the Dogon, the scripts of the Indus Valley, the same figure appears: a red star, a returning wanderer, a mirror that comes every 13 lifetimes, said to peer into the soul of Earth itself. And the descriptions? They match with eerie precision: the crimson glow, the perfect symmetry, the silent passage without a tail. The ancients wrote of rituals of silence and stillness when the red star appeared, as though awaiting a signal, or bracing for judgment. Once dismissed as myth, these records are now being reconsidered. Because if 3IATLAS is not a comet but a sensor, a watcher, or even a harbinger, then maybe those who came before us already understood. Maybe they prepared, and maybe we should too. After all the data, all the images, all the signals and shadows that scientists have scrambled to explain, one truth is pressing in. 3IATLAS is not simply passing by. It is returning, and it is reflecting something back at us. This is not coincidence. Its timing, its symmetry, its silence, all deliberate. The reason it breaks our models is because it was never meant to fit them. It does not operate inside our rules, and perhaps neither do we. Perhaps humanity itself is the anomaly. So, why is it here? To observe, to judge, or to awaken? Governments may stay silent, agencies may bury reports, but the instruments tell a different story. The patterns are too precise, the anomalies too consistent, and already its influence is rippling outward through our atmosphere, through our biology, through our memory, even through our history. Because 3IATLAS doesn't just reflect light, it reflects us, who we are, who we've become, and perhaps who we were always meant to be. So the next time you look up and feel the stars looking back, remember, you may not be staring at a comet at all. You may be staring into the mirror of our origin, or our end. If you want to be there when it happens, hit like, share this with others, leave a comment with your thoughts, and make sure to subscribe. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.